I really want to try to cultivate scientists. I really want them to try to understand what it's like to be a scientist, understand how they think, the process of scientific method.
Ms. Foster wants us to go beyond knowledge level and learn how to apply things, synthesize things, and evaluate things, and I think that's really good because I've never been in a class like that.
I have been long used to the traditional classes where the teachers stay in front of the class and students like stay behind in the classroom, and they have table like put in order in the row in column.
At first I was intimidated because this is something new. I've never done anything like this and I was a bit scared, and then I realized how much I love this type of learning, this technique. It really helps me, so I really like it.
We wanted our students to do science, not just learn about it. We kind of just started with these open-end projects. So we give a student a problem first, and then they would have to learn the content as they solved the problem. To really execute problem-based learning, you need a physical space to do that, and this studio, I think, does that. It's open, it inspires creativity, and that's really what you need to work in that way and do that kind of pedagogy. We wanted to do a kind of steampunk vibe in here, very sort of retro, kind of what Darwin would have around in his house or in his lab. And so Pasadena has wonderful specimens, these animals in old jars and stuffed things from the 30s. The partitioning that we have over here with the couches is a more informal space. Students will come, they'll hang out. A lot of them will come in and study here.
You know, it's nice to have an area on campus where I can make my food and come sit on a couch and do my homework and have a whiteboard if I need to work on something. Or, it's really nice to have that space. And then, all the charts and all the animals everywhere. That was really good. Well, I was in Bio 1A too because I had to do the practical. So having, being able to come in here in between classes and study, my materials just to have all the specimens there. Not like I need to check into a lab or, log in hours or anything.
I think when they walk in, they're really surprised. It does hit them like, wow, this is a different environment. It's not a traditional row by row lecture kind of situation.
Well, the other bio classes I've taken, like plant biology, we were just kind of separated, sitting in different seats, and that kind of limited your way of just talking to people. It didn't. This class, you're sitting in round tables, you get to interact with students more, get their opinions on things, and it helps me learn better.
I much would prefer this sort of environment than a traditional classroom. Like I have a calculus class that's in the gym, and all the chairs are straight lines. We all sit and stare at the whiteboard and listen to the professor lecture for an hour and a half.
The vibe has to be a bit relaxed so that students aren't automatically put in that submissive and passive role that most classrooms kind of influence. The number one thing that I hear when I talk to other faculty about what I'm doing is like, well, how can you cover content? You spend all this time on this one project, how can you possibly cover content? And you can in creative ways, but there's always going to be those sacrifices of content. But the next question I ask people is like, well, how much of the content do you think your students retain? And everyone knows that by the second semester they've forgotten it.
There's a lot of classes I've taken that are lecture. Obviously, most of my classes have been lecture-based, and a lot of that information just goes in one ear and comes out the other.
Every other class I've taken, I really forget what I learned, and it's a waste of time. I go like, I took a semester and I learned all those things, now I forgot. But with this class, I feel like I've learned so much, and I don't think I'm ever going to forget because I still remember the things we learned from the first day of class.
They make you synthesize the concepts, not just memorize them and store them away somewhere in your brain for a test. They make you use them for every project, use the ones from the beginning and at the end.
So we try to get away from lecture as much as possible, but there is a small amount that you have to do. And we've tried to move toward discussions, and so often there'll be a paper that the students have to read and then we discuss it, and that's how they learn the content through this example. I really try to get people to feel comfortable discussing, and I think that the space also facilitates that. They're in the room, they've been talking to these students, and I think their guard goes down a bit, and so when we do have discussions, they're they're more productive because students are not afraid to speak.
When I'm discussing something with someone, it's good to get feedback and to hear their perspective and their understanding of it, to see maybe it'll help you understand it more. And I feel we do that more in this class than other classes.
Some things that I get, I can explain to them, and then I learn it better because I'm explaining it to them, and things they know they can explain to us in a way that's not the professor.
I've tried to stress that I'm not the sort of, expert in front of the room telling you what to do. I think that that's made me a bit more approachable, and that students are comfortable coming up and talking with me more.
I don't really talk to the teachers that much in other classes, to be honest.
I find it easier to talk to the teacher in this class because since she basically leaves us alone, she says, you have to do this, I have more questions. So if I don't ask her, it's my grade that's going to be in trouble. So I go to her and I say, so what do I do? What do I do?
It's interesting. There are publications that say that once you get into a space like this, your teaching sort of evolves to fit it. The space kind of imposes the problem-based approach eventually.
I could see how maybe if you were someone who was like really strict, like needed everything to be, just tell me what to do and I'll do it, then maybe this wouldn't work for you.
Maybe the teacher should, I get that they want us to be more responsible, but maybe they shouldn't just say learn this and leave us alone. I feel like they should help us and guide us a little more, not a lot more, but just a little more, so because some students are really confused, they don't know what to learn, they're just stressed. So I feel like if the stress is lowered a little bit, I feel like people would do much better.
I know this one is kind of an evolution, and Dr. Foster is trying to make it, but it's require a lot of work, and I think she still needs to make it more better. And just like, I don't know, but for me, a bilingual student, I feel like it's kind of too overwhelming for me.
The studio is constantly evolving, so there have been constraints, there have been issues, there are additional things that we want to do. Our initial idea was to have this a truly open space, kind of on a graduate level, where students would have a project to work on, and they would come in when they needed to. Students who are beginning the program cannot deal with that. I think that issues of procrastination and time management are very real to these students, and I think that's probably the #1 obstacle I have, and that was really a lesson, is that you have to impose some structure. It's nice to dream that this problem-based scenario would be open-ended and kind of like real life, where okay, this is important, you need to do this, this, and that, but the students really kind of need deadlines.
The way the sciences are, they're really correlated with each other, like when it comes to biology, chemistry, physics, and calculus. All the courses are really well related, and maybe more integration of those classes into the other ones, so you'll get a broader perspective of it.
I'm hoping that the BioLab 2.0 looks more interdisciplinary. I'm hoping that it's equipped with fume hoods to integrate chemistry. Our vision is to have a lot of kind of bays or windows where there are different supplies for projects, and that students can go up to that window and have the supplies accessible to them. My vision is to have more faculty involved and more faculty excited about the space, and I would really love for students to not even really know what class they're taking, that it's like I'm in this program and I've got lots of experts in the room to help me get where I want to go, and I'm on this project, and when I'm doing this project I'm identifying my needs, and I'm able to go to the people who can help me with those needs. Those students who are willing to be challenged do come out better in the end, but I think that end point is difficult to assess at this moment, because what happens when they leave my class is then they enter another class that is traditional, and so they kind of lose all of the the skills and the discipline that they got here, and which is unfortunate. And this is another reason that we want to collaborate with more faculty. We want to try to make this the norm so that students don't think that this is the crazy thing that these Bio 1A our professors are doing, and that this is the way things are, and that they can see that connection between what they're doing in school and what they'll be doing out in the real world. I really think this is where education is going. I think it's fun, and I think that if faculty really take the risk in trying this out, I think that they'll find that it really is conducive to helping the students get the skills that they really need to succeed in a 21st century environment.
I've done an internship where in a lab, and everything they do is what we do here. It's not general biology and you just learn a few things. No, we're doing very, very specific things.